The Federal Reserve is the arsonist and now attempting to be the fireman. We have inflation. It's caused by the Fed creating money out of thin air and just putting zeros on the account of Chase Manhattan and Wells Fargo and their other favorite banks. And that's how they bailed out the depositors of Silicon Valley. So it didn't come from tax dollars. It came from a more nefarious place. Thin air. They just added zeros to Chase's account and told Chase to lend the money to whatever entity took over Silicon Valley Bank. They did that for the depositors, not for the investors. How did they make that decision? Politics. All the government does is go where it thinks the votes are. So you want politicians, bureaucrats, making decisions as to who's going to be bailed out and who's not going to be bailed out. Well, it's not our money. The Fed created the money. Well, when the Fed creates the money, it's more cash in the money supply, chasing the same amount of goods and services, and that causes inflation. Wait a minute. The Fed is supposed to fight inflation. Yeah, the Fed is fighting the very inflation that it caused. And by raising interest rates as radically as it's doing, it's suppressing the value of the bonds that it used to sell. So when you go to sell those bonds because you need cash in the bank, because depositors want to take money out because it's too expensive to borrow because the Fed has been raising interest rates. If you follow all of this, you go to sell those bonds, they're worth a lot less than they were when you bought them because people can buy the same bonds at a higher interest rate today. All of this proves that micromanaging and central planning doesn't work. We should be able to charge whatever interest we want. Interest should be negotiable. Like rent is. Interest is the rent you pay for other people's money. You should be able to go to a bank. Okay, I have $100,000 here. What will you give me, Chase? I'll give you 5%. Well, Wells Fargo is going to give me 6.5%, and they compete with each other. Oh, no, we don't have that in America. The Federal Reserve decides what the rates are. The banks don't compete for rates. There is no reflection of supply and demand. There is no negotiating.